Hi, Jaicy.
Hi, Deepa.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How about you?
Very good, thank you.
Good to hear that.
So, before we start, I want to let you know that this conversation will remain confidential, as always. And I'm recording this with your prior permission for my own learning. I may also send this to ICF for my evaluation.
Mhm. That works.
Thank you.
No problem.
So, we have about 40 to 45 minutes today for this conversation.
Mhm.
What in specific would you like to accomplish in this time that we have together?
Um, I have been an indirect communicator since we were talking about cultural styles earlier. And folks I've known for a really long time have been okay with that. They patiently remind me, look, you're speaking without context. I don't know what you're talking about. And I would patiently repeat myself, and that works. But obviously, um, in some context, it does work. And people can become very impatient and maybe even lose interest or perceive me as not a very clear communicator. And for all of these reasons, I've been wanting to work on it, but I haven't really taken very conscious steps towards it up until now. And part of me, when you asked me if you could coach me, started thinking about why that was. And I thought of a bunch of reasons, um, like, in fact, the core reason is I am a little worried about what would happen if I am very explicit. Um, so I'd like to, I'm pretty sure this conversation is too short to overcome the fear itself. Um, but I'd like to think about what initial steps I can take so that I'd feel more comfortable.
So I hear you say that you have been communicating indirectly,
Mhm,
but in some contexts it doesn't work.
mhm,
And I think you have reflected on it and you have realized that it probably comes from a certain worry or fear, which is what you articulated. And by the end of the conversation, I hear you say that you would like to have a few initial steps to be able to achieve direct communication.
yes.
And if you have those steps where you're able to directly communicate, what would that bring to you?
I thought of this Rene Magritte painting from one of the things that I'd done a while ago to appreciate art more. This painting, I think, is called Lovers. And it shows two people in an embrace, but both have sheets over their heads. And it's it talks to how when you're not connected, um, it's that way. And I'm not saying it's that way in all contexts, but in some contexts where I am indirect and I continue to be indirect and the other person isn't aware, it almost feels like we're teetering on the surface at a very superficial level and not going below the iceberg. Um, like in the coaching context, but even in conversations, like it's very superficial. So I think what it will give me is the ability to go deeper and really accomplish something in conversations. I don't know what that will be because I think it might emerge in the moment. So that's what I think it means for me.
And from what you say, what I sense is your need is to go deeper in conversations that is not superficial. And what would that bring to you?
I think the greater degree of interest and connection, because I, for one, always hated small talk. Like if I could, I'd want to drop the anchor deep right from the get-go, but I know that it's not what everybody likes. But I and lately, and when I say lately, for a few years now, I've been wanting to be more connected. Like I can feel the absence of it really bother me. And I want to be respectful if someone doesn't want to go there. I mean, it's not that I have to have it in every single conversation, but I do want to open channels for it where possible. But I think the first step has to happen from my side.
You know, when you said the word deep, the way you said it just resonated inside me. It really went deep. There was solid energy in it. I could sense how deep could be.
I felt seen too.
So these two words, deep, connection, had a lot of energy as I heard you.
Mm-hmm.
How does this align with your values?
One of my core values is curiosity. And I feel that to truly be curious, you have to keep peeling away the layers. So if I am to stay true to that value, I will need to pursue this. Another value of mine that this closely connects with is that sense of freedom. It's very important for me. But freedom without being anchored could be like mindless, because I'd be flitting from one moment to the next and never really pursue anything ever. And while a younger me was okay with that, as I'm growing older, I am not.
When you talked about curiosity, and for you that means peeling the layer, an image came to me. You talked about that painting where two are in an embrace and they have the layers. It almost, to me, the image that's coming to me is that you are definitely opening your layer and in an embrace in that conversation.
Yes.
So, by the end of this conversation, how would you know that you have got those steps to have direct communication?
I get very nervous when I get too close to live wire. And what I mean is when I get really close to removing my veil, I panic. Because I, I can't explain it. Like the reasons could be varied, but I know I'm very close to it when I panic. So panic is my sign that I am very close. I I don't pause long enough in that moment of panic to go to where um, the live wire is. It's almost like I'm worried of a shock. You can make that out by the choice of a live wire as a metaphor. Um, Maybe I burned my fingers too many times by being vulnerable. Um, but I want to go there with the confidence that I have slippers on my feet, that it won't kill me.
I would really like to acknowledge you for the awareness and what you initially shared about peeling the layer. I can see that you're doing it to yourself in this moment in this conversation.
Thank you. It means a lot.
In this conversation, how would you know that you've got those initial steps?
If I'm able to think of what I would do when I panic to come back, um, I think I would have at least that first step. Of course, I may still go away, step away. But then I'll get to that when I get to that. For now, if I know how not to be ashamed when I back off, and double down on my core desire to be real, I know that I would have achieved what I wanted to from this conversation.
So, continuing the same metaphor that you offered, the veil
Mhm,
is on, you have a desire to remove the veil.
mhm,
When you hold the veil and you start opening, you sense a panic,
mhm,
and that's your indication that you are touching the live wire.
mhm.
And if you have those, if you have ways to manage the panic and not be ashamed, if you pull the veil down and then pull it back again because of your desire, that would be a good place for you. Is what I hear. So, what specifically do we need to focus on to get there by the end of the session?
The feeling of shame. When I feel like I've gotten too close. I first thought it's nervousness, but no. It's what happens after that that keeps playing back and playing back and playing back, creating all kinds of negative stories. And it slows me down when I have to attempt it again. If I don't have that feeling of shame, I will go at it again without creating all these stories in my head.
What does the voice of shame tell at that moment?
That I'm alone, which I am. I mean, all of us are. And that I won't be able to connect as I desire to. That it's not possible, that hope doesn't exist. As I'm saying it out aloud, though, I realize that that conclusion may not necessarily be true. I guess what I'm craving is that feeling of courage. That offsets that feeling of shame. A natural train of thought that comes to me is, where will I draw this courage from? Especially if there have been too many frequent episodes of backing off. I don't know.
What are you feeling in this moment, Jaicy?
I'm feeling impatient to uncover the source of courage. Like, I'm not allowing myself to go further. Like, I want it to appear in front of me right now, but it isn't. I think the thing about courage is that courage without regard for boundaries could be problematic. And more recent examples of courage have not necessarily always paid close attention to boundaries. I think I need to pay closer attention to understanding what is mine and what is somebody else's. I guess owning my observations and inquiring aligns with my value of curiosity. And then asking how others' perception aligns allows them to be them, which is maintaining boundaries. So it doesn't road roller over something in my desire to be courageous. So I think I still don't have the answer where I'll draw the courage from. But I know the how of it. Yeah.
As you were speaking, a lot of times I felt the need to breathe out loud. And I just want to play it to you. What's your sense in your body?
It is similar. I sense that I wasn't breathing myself, which is probably why you would have felt that. So obviously the how is not coming from my heart. I guess my heart desires that I somehow tap that water level of courage, except I'm hitting a dead end. Like the drilling has taken me to a rock and it's really hard. And I'm having trouble getting past it. Unless I'm not seeing episodes of courage as that. And maybe I should stop drilling and ask the people I'm close to, hey, when have you seen me be courageous? So I can see it through their eyes. Maybe I'm being too hard on myself. So when I breathe, that's what comes to me. And once I've uncovered that, the how won't seem so mechanical. Yeah.
And to be able for you to ask people when You have been courageous. What strength and value could you use?
Trusting their experience as much as I trust mine. Because if I'm going to go and ask them, but I'm not going to believe them, it's not going to work. It almost reminds me of a conversation with my empathy buddy. I talk to this lady once every 2 weeks. And I shared something with her. And she said, "It's so nice of you to say that. But I just don't believe it because I've not believed it." And I feel like when she shared that, it resonated with me because I have a tough time accepting compliments. I guess compliments I've been told or accepting it is like pride. And I've been told being proud is a bad thing. In fact, I remember stitching in cross stitch pattern as a kid. And I wanted to stitch with the color purple. And I was told, "Oh no, purple is pride, and pride is bad. Pride goes before fall." So I'm scared because of that. I mean, it's silly. It's from so many years ago, but I think maybe that's at the root of not accepting a compliment, because accepting it could mean something really bad is going to happen next. So I just say, "Oh, that's nothing," even though I've worked my ass off at something. And I deserve the compliment. So knowing it was somebody's stance of, and maybe it came from a good place too, because they didn't want me to be arrogant. So acknowledging that it came from a good place, but knowing that when it's okay to be proud, and when it's okay to say what else I drew from to get what they're seeing, and sharing it with them could be a way for me to be direct and vulnerable both at the same time, and not waffle about in a way that's confusing for others.
So, Jaicy, we have been in this conversation for about 30 minutes now.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've been speaking, how has this conversation helped you so far?
So I brought this conversation after doing quite a bit of thinking about it myself. It helped me go far beyond the point that I could explore by myself. What it's helped me see is where this fear comes from, which is what I was unable to. it's given me one technique I could use before I attempt what I planned, which is stating my position and asking a question to find out how the other perceives what I have perceived a certain way, like my truth versus their truth. And the need to believe what another person shares as to how they see me. So that progress is miles ahead of how far I got with the amount of thinking that I did all pretty much whole day today. I mean, not the whole day literally, but when I had quiet times during the day, I did quite a bit of thinking. So yeah.
And from this new awareness, what initial steps and actions emerge for you in the direction that you were looking for?
I think first of all, I need to find someone who doesn't have vested interest in me being happy. So definitely not anyone in my close circle. Someone who would say things for what they are is what I need to decide. I think I have a person in mind. Well, maybe not. I'll need to think about who this person is. I know what the characteristics are. I think I know who I can talk to. Um, yeah. So they have no vested interest to give me something that's not true. And I'll ask them what they think was perhaps one of the most courageous things I've done. And I think even one is enough. If I can get two, that would be great because I'll get different perspectives. But I won't. This is one of the things I delay attempting something that I have decided to try. It's part of the fear too. So I guess I'll do one and then try it out. And then if time permits, or if there's an opportunity that emerges, then I'll gain the second perspective or the third perspective. But I won't hold off on trying out the directness until after that. One's enough.
So I hear you say that the action that's emerging for you is find out that one person who does not have vested interest in you, who you could trust and believe in, and try out direct communication with that one person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what would this bring to you?
I think usually the first step is the hardest. After that, I can course correct and of course there'll be the next phase where I need to cross a certain threshold. But if I start thinking about all of that, I won't make any progress. So I will, but what it will allow me is, get overcoming the inertia right now.
And what within you could help you take this step and overcome that inertia?
One of my values is also perseverance. So now that I know what's holding me back, I feel very confident about trying it out. In fact, I'm eager to try it out. So I think I can tap that value of perseverance to help me get there.
When would you begin this action?
I think I have a pretty significant call coming Friday. And that will give me the opportunity to talk to this person who can be pretty candid in a brutal way too. Ahead of that. So I think I should be able to try this within the week.
Within the coming week. What could derail you from taking this action?
This week is going to be a crazy week. Like this meeting that I'm talking about is on Friday, but I have a full week of delivering a workshop, which is the first of its kind. And I'm like building content as I go. So I'm definitely going to have long days of full day facilitation followed by preparation for the next day. So the busyness could definitely get in the way of doing this. I'm going to have to set a timeline, maybe Tuesday or something, to do this, because otherwise the week will fly by, and then I'll be riddled with guilt for not having done it when I had the opportunity to.
So preparation on Tuesday for this conversation on Friday.
No, the meeting is on Friday, so the conversation is going to have to happen between Tuesday and Friday. I'm going to have to initiate the conversation on Tuesday, so there's still ample time before Friday to hear their input.
And how does this action sound to you?
I think it sounds pretty solid, because unlike some actions that haven't gotten done, this is more granular. So given how granular it is, I think I can easily put a pin on it and check back. It's like more black and white. So that's what gives me confidence. I'm a little fearful because it's while granular, it's still tough, given the demands on my time. But it is achievable.
And I would like to acknowledge you for the courage to acknowledge to yourself that this is the action. It's not easy. It's granular. I see it, and yet it is tough for me. And yet I want to do it.
Thank you.
So we've been in this conversation this far. Where are we with respect to the objective that you had set out for yourself?
I think we've accomplished that first step, which is what I wanted to get out of this conversation. But I think more importantly, a thing that I'd set aside for maybe a different conversation, which is the why. Why am I fearful? got answered in this conversation too, which is beyond what I had originally set out to do. So as far as accomplishing what we had set out to do, we are in a good place. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your for being my headlight.
Thank you. So, how would you like to conclude the session?
I'm filled with immense gratitude because this has been a long time coming. I've just needed the space to explore it and agency too. And I've had both during this conversation, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. And all the best for your action.
Thank you.